response video to Luddite Returns. Probably more of the same old shit.
Emerson claimed that a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, adored by little statesmen and philosophers and divines. He is,
who cares?
In part commenting on the collapse of philosophy into ideology, and ultimately the death of the mind.
Yeah, whatever. Look who's talking, okay? I mean, you're just talking pop culture bibble babble, okay? Just rationalizing excuses because life exists, life must exist. You wouldn't have the same opinion if you were talking about Martians, or you're talking about Moonicans, or you're talking about Venetians, all right? Especially if they were pretty much assholes by your standards. So this is just all projection and all the same old bullshit. You're not getting to anything real here. I'm sure Emerson found it obnoxious, the trivialities and the minutiae that you philosophers waste their time on. Silly person.
When I speak of axiological nihilism as giving rise to antinatalism, I'm not directly elucidating on the truth or falsity of the myriad claims subsumed by antinatalism.
Oh, whatever. Again, you just want to associate it with a philosophy so you can demean it or ridicule it or minimize it. And that's all this is, okay? You're not getting it. You're not saying anything real. Oh, they're nihilists because somehow they don't care. No, that doesn't make any sense. The point is they care too much. They're saying there's something too precious here to be soiled doing it badly. You either do it right or you don't do it at all. You've heard that cliche, haven't you? Well, explain how that cliche is wrong.
Or equating axiological nihilism with antinatalism. Rather, I'm speaking of a genealogy.
Oh, yeah, right. Like one grew out of the other, that somehow it is, you have to be a nihilist to get to antinatalism. I'm afraid not. It's exactly the opposite philosophy, and you're just a slandering mud thrower. That's all. You think with your eloquent language and your fancy verbiage, you're above that. No, you're not. All right? You're throwing poo.
Here committing the genetic fallacy, clarification of the genealogy in question can help illuminate the discussion.
Oh, really? Again, this isn't that complicated. There's no genealogy to the philosophy, okay? The philosophy, it just grows out of, here's a set of facts, okay? The facts are, we are flatworms, okay, who can sing and dance. And that's about all there is here. Now, you want to pretend there's a genealogy to that realization? Well, there isn't. The genealogy is the realization that that's the truth. It's not a great truth. It's just the truth.
With the devaluation of all that was formerly valued, with the absence of a transcendent reality grounding our affairs, are antinatalists uniquely in touch with reason, merely reporting its edicts?
That's right. Once you extract the bullshit from your life, the pretense, the style that you live behind, the facades of fake and phony and pop culture crap, once you peel away that crap, that's right, the truth rises up. And it's dirt simple.
Or still living in the shadows of a dead god, conjuring a contrived ethical system to take his place.
Yeah, contrived out of the idea, the notion that there is sentient welfare, and there's such a thing as this concept of fail-safe. And there's such a thing as this concept that no one really needs the nuclear power plant. This type of plant, that it's only, the need is in their own little heads, it's not in the reality. Again, demonstrate how in reality there's a need for Venetians to exist. And then you can explain to me why there's a need intrinsically that humans exist. But until you do that, all you have is a need contrived in an emotional human psychology, not a need that is real. And that is your failure, and that is your obligation to defend. Defend the idea that notions in the head are the creation of cause. That they are legitimate reasons to do in and of themselves, that they don't need to be critically judged.
Regarding the emergent normative orders contingent on the web of the mutual affirmation of life.
Well, again, use this word, a mutual affirmation of life. Again, what does that mean?
Of course, I'm not equating this with moral truth, supposing that there are moral truths. I'm saying that...
Well, again, supposing there are moral truths. So we go through 10,000 years of the evolution of human knowledge and civilization just so you idiots can sit there and say, I'm not sure any of it matters. I'm not sure if I can tell the difference between Holocaust and eating chocolate cream pie. Yeah, I can't tell the difference. I can't tell right from fucking wrong. You've had 10,000 years to look out into the world and you still are in doubt. I mean, preposterous. Sorry. That means you colossally fail.
And as long as we remain within the realm of accusation, and the anti-natalist is going to charge the affirmers of life with rendering DNA into God.
It fulfills the same exact role. It's a contrivance of purpose. So the atheists destroy the silly fables, but they have maintained the existence of some cause or purpose, and they have decided that they will accept a dumb God. So they have killed the gods that had some purpose, because they're elitist, or they're frauds, and they don't exist, to replace them with the God of preposterous lack of knowledge, the God of a stupid molecule. They are now taking their orders gleefully from a molecule. And I shouldn't mock that. Continuing, distractions and such. Sorry.
I'm charging the anti-natalists with rendering nothingness as their God. You apostles of non-being.
Well, whatever. Nothingness as a God. I mean, that doesn't even say anything, right? As the alternative, again, it's dangerous, risk creation, unneeded need. Yes, okay. The alternative to that is, yes, nothing. It's not a God. It's just an acceptance of the fact that we don't have great choices. We got bad and we got worse, kind of a thing. It's not a God. It's not a savior, except that it prevents harm. Yeah, it's just a good thing.
Now, to address your points, you make a causally normative connection between the pending extinction of human beings and our deliberate acceleration of it. In other words, extinction is going to happen, therefore we should accelerate it.
Well, you should deal with it. Yeah. I mean, and it sort of just makes the idea that you're going somewhere by remaking copies of yourself, that just doesn't have anywhere to go. It's going to hit a brick wall of physics. And so, why invest in it? Why force that last generation to walk into the brick wall? Or the last generations? Because this brick wall might happen hard. Environmental destruction and, hundreds of millions of people being killed nastily every year for a long time, maybe. You are putting the children on that fucking boat. You're putting them in this boat with holes in it. It will rot and it will sink. And you're sentencing them to be on the boat that rots and sinks. So the rational thing to do is to not make the children that'll have to be in that boat.
This is a complete non sequitur, equivalent in form to "I'm going to die, therefore I should commit suicide."
Well, no, it has nothing to do with that. If you get a cancer diagnosis, okay, a dramatic one, and you know you're done, it's perfectly rational to say, yeah, let's not do it messy, let's do it clean. There's no point in I don't have any obligations, I don't have any pressing engagements that are hugely important, so yeah, let's just not do that ending thing the hard way, let's do the ending thing the graceful way. So that's the argument here, and you're saying there's something intrinsically or fundamentally irrational in that idea. Sorry, it makes perfectly good sense. So what the hell's this shit? Little bit of phony fake drama that doesn't have anything to do with the subject, which is anti-natalist. Oh, we got a gun coming up. Oh, special. How special. The subject is procreation. Why don't you have a photo of a condom? Oh, let's play dramatic music while we place the condom over the penis. Yeah, the penis, you know. And save ourselves the horror.
I'm just kidding.
Ha ha ha.
Sick bastards, I bet some of you are hoping for some kind of show. Okay, the movie is going to end, therefore turn it off.
Well, that's a stupid metaphor, right? Look, if this was a movie, if it was just fun, right? Movies don't drive nails through your head. I mean, movies don't give you cancer. Movies don't harm sentient creatures. Movies don't run their car over the little rabbit's fucking spine. So I mean, this is a stupid movie. This is a blood gushing goddamn snuff film. Yeah, end the snuff film. Prevent the snuff film. Don't make chapter 2 of the snuff film. Can you understand that metaphor?
Now, intrinsic to the fact that the movie will end is in itself not a compelling reason to end it.
Well, that's not the reason. So again, that's what you call a straw man. Do you have a fancy word for straw man? Because you just made a straw man, phony, fake argument. It's not our argument that that's the reason you end it. It's because it's going to end. You end it because it's going to end badly.
You provide as a reason why life shouldn't be perpetuated the contention that life is futile. I myself do not find this compelling. In the relative sense, life is obviously not futile.
In the relative sense, life is not futile. Well, I'm sorry. That doesn't even make any sense. What, relative? You're not retarded relative to other retards? So relative to stupid people, you're not stupid anymore? No, you're still stupid. And life is still just a delusion in your head that makes it mean anything. And that's all there is. And you can demonstrate it. You can see it for yourself if you just have the guts to think for a minute how you have never contemplated how lonely and dark and empty and harmed the universe is because there's nobody on Venus.
That is, chains of justification come to an end within the context of life and the engagement of becoming.
Well, again, we're talking the engagement of becoming. So what is that? What is that a euphemism for? The engagement of the becoming. You mean the forcing, the imposing of the life. The forcing something to invest in your silly notion of accomplishment and purpose, even though you know it's going to die, even though you know it has little prospects of getting through the maze of life without perhaps seeing things that will make its eyes squint in horror.
No further justification is needed outside the bounds of participation in those things experienced as good.
So nothing. You don't need any other justification. So as long as it has a good element to it, as long as nuclear power plants create electricity, it doesn't matter that they may potentially irradiate thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. It's okay. We don't have to justify it because it's all good. There is no bad connected to the price being paid for it. It's free. The good is free. That's a ludicrous premise, and you know it.
Friendship, love, the exercise of the mind, etc. Your demand for justification external to said participation is entirely vacuous.
Well, I'm sorry. It's not. No. Recognizing the fact that there's a risk equation, recognizing that you have to make trade-offs between the benefits and the costs, cost to benefit analysis. It's a fundamental logical process, and if you're not capable of it, then you're an idiot, by definition, by explicit definition. If you don't understand cost to benefit analysis, then you're an idiot.
In that, it demands an infinite chain of justification.
There's nothing infinite about the chain of justification. We know, basically, we see life, we see what's paid for it. We see that we know there's the fact of it. We know that this is an unconsigned risk. We know that this is a risk imposed. That's a fact. All right? You don't get consent. All right? I know you can't, but the fact is you don't. And that's a fact, and it's a fundamentally negative and it's a non-starter fact, right? I mean, I can make the claim, and I don't think there's any counterclaim you can make, because you don't have a justification. You don't have some accomplishment you can point to say this accomplishment is worth non-consensual impositions. You just don't have it. You don't have the value beyond your own projection of value. You don't have anything in the world you can put in something's hand and show to somebody. Sorry, my hands are disgusting. The car just beat the hell out of me.
You seem to be demanding and postulating the relevance of futility to the continuation of life is the absolute, the unconditioned, the kind of meta-context that ensures the meaningfulness of what is therein subsumed.
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, really, that was just preposterous nonsense. Is somebody supposed to make sense out of that? I mean, just my brain just wants to say, fuck you. I mean, who needs this?
Now, it is not at all obvious to me that said meta-context is non-existent. Perhaps our very fragmented nature, individual and species being alienation, intimates a kind of participation in the absolute.
Our individual participation, and you're going to put the word absolute? I don't even know what that means. I mean, again, what does that mean? How is this relevant? Oh, that's right, it's not.
But perhaps more importantly, why should the absence of this meta-context be cause for despair or complaint?
Well, it's not about despair, but yes, it's certainly about complaint. So again, just throw your despair word in the garbage and just get to the reality of the complaint. And the complaint is you haven't passed the cost to benefit analysis test. That you have to do that. That's your responsibility. That we all have to do that. Looking at our own existences and say, is what I'm taking from the world worth what I'm creating by being here? And I don't think most of you can pass that test.
You state that life doesn't serve a function. Now, to exclude, and I'm proceeding here by way of analogy, a cat from being a dog, one must first possess conceptual clarity relative to those constitutive elements of being a dog. And so now, to deny the status of function relationally to life implies that you have an understanding of what life serving a function would look like.
Yeah, well, we know what functional things look like, okay? And what they look like is medicine. They look like something in a clown suit that makes people happy. They look like a vibrator. They look like a lot of things that give people comfort or joy. That has a function. It relieves them of a negative condition and puts them in a positive condition, or puts them in a less negative position. That makes something functional. Alright, so our existence here on this planet, does no scratching of any misery in the universe. It picks no scab off the universe. It doesn't jiggle their balls. It doesn't do anything for the universe. It doesn't comfort it. It doesn't take it from a negative state to a less negative state. So therefore it has no function. Again, the delusion of function is only in your heads. You idiots think it has a function. But just like the Venetians that don't exist, and the universe doesn't miss them, you have no function.
So please expound, enlighten me on this possible world serving a function.
Well, again, it's not our obligation to provide you with a god, to provide you with something, Mrs. Pac-Man out in the universe or something that's going to be happy that you're here so it can eat it or something, or that somehow can get off on us. It's not our obligation to create a mechanism to show you what the function would be. We're saying there is no function. Nothing can have a function. All you can do is prevent mess making. All things can do is make messes. They can't do anything else intrinsically. Coming into existence, your only capacity is to screw something up that needs unscrewing. That's all there is. You have to screw it, okay, before there can be a need for something to unscrew it. That's the dilemma of the universe. It's real dilemma. It's not a fake one. That's the reality. All you can do is make a mess and then justify yourself by cleaning up some portion of it.
And I shall add, would it even be desirable to exist within the bounds of an objectively delineated functionality?
Well, I think it would be really desirable. Yeah, I think that would be really great if we somehow made the sun happy, or we made it have a better time. Like it would be in a really bad state if we weren't there to cheer it up. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be something then. That'd be some justification. Like the screws get twisted into the sun's head deeper and deeper, and it screams in horror if it wasn't for us. That would be good. But no such luck.
Wouldn't such existential homogeneity be cause for despair?
I don't know. I don't know why the fuck having a purpose would be despairing, but whatever. Go ahead. If you want to despair about having a purpose, fine. Go ahead. You don't have one, so it doesn't matter. It's an irrelevant thought experiment because you're not going to find an eternal, external purpose.
State that antinatalists aren't saying that there is no value, that there is value in suffering.
Yes, there is the state of need, and there's value in that need state. Yes, not very complicated. Really, a 5-year-old can understand that. This doesn't feel good to be hit by a car. It doesn't feel good to, I don't know, have something jab you in the eye. It doesn't feel good to be bitten by a snake. I don't know. 5-year-olds can figure that shit out.
Claim that we're all quite familiar with. Now, as I pointed out before, a thoroughly physicalist ontology and rigid acceptance of the causal closure of the physical.
Oh, you mean, an acceptance of the material universe and evolution on planet Earth. Okay, so let's accept a material universe and the facts of Darwinian evolution on planet Earth. Okay.
Excludes value as an intrinsic property.
Well, no, it doesn't. So again, you want to pretend there's not intrinsic value in the welfare state created in sentient brains, then you're dumber than a 5-year-old. I just don't know what to... I can keep trying to make arguments to you explaining how feeling good is better than feeling bad, or feeling less bad is better than feeling more bad, but I guess you're just too frickin' stupid.
But external to this, I would ask you to epistemologically justify this claim. Again, the proposition that suffering...
yeah, that's just so... I just don't know. You want me to epistemologically prove that feeling bad sucks really? That it's not just a delusion in our head that being in a concentration camp in Nazi Germany would suck by comparison to living in a penthouse with any supermodel of your choice. That somehow we can't tell the difference. That epistemologically it's uncertain which one is the superior state of being. And I should do anything but just want to beat you to death with my brain and just say there's just no point in having one if I have to have imbecilic arguments. I have to prove that suffering sucks. Fuck you. Oh, fucking goddamn phone. I'm back. Prank caller. Well, no. It's one of those, hello, how are you today? You know, I said, fuck you, get a job. So, yeah. These people. I mean, really. Other people that should be beaten to death with somebody's ass. These fucking guys, these people with these goddamn... I have a job. Yeah, I call people and try to sell them shit. Fuckers. Oh yeah, we need humans.
Is transperspectively valuable is obviously not a priori true.
Okay, right. Suffering sucks is not an a priori truth. There's no why waste my time? I mean, really, if you can't agree that human beings come in different has different states of being, and that those states of being are goddamn important, then what? Why should I communicate with you? There's just no fucking goddamn point. Just say that. Say that's your truth. And then we're going to forget about this. But to sit there and rationalize that that's somehow reasonable, that you're somehow being a reasonable human being by saying, no, I can't tell the difference between Holocaust and fucking chocolate cream pie. I mean, fuck you.
And cannot, given the non-natural property in question, be empirically falsified or verified.
Oh, really? Again, I mean, you know, it is that it is. I mean, this is the real problem, right? I mean, yeah, okay, that's the truth of it. I can't tell you that this isn't the Matrix. I can't prove to you it's not the Matrix, that sentient qualia has meaning and substance. You seem to think it has meaning and substance when you say, hi, neighbor, how you doing? You want to come over and have a cup of milk with me? Or some kind of bullshit like that. You think that's qualia. You think that has some kind of fucking value. You'll talk about it. You won't sit there and expect somebody to say to you, prove that that means something. You won't waste it. You don't expect somebody to waste your time by saying, prove that you being happy means something. Fuck you.
If I deny that suffering is transperspectively valuable, what logical fallacy am I committing?
5-year-old, dumber than a 5-year-old. I guess that would be it. Dumber than a cat. Dumber than any sentient creature on this earth that understands the difference between feeling good and feeling bad and tries to avoid feeling bad. So yeah, you're dumber than a vole. You're dumber than a fucking goddamn flatworm, probably. Flatworms can figure this shit out. Shit for brain. Yeah, this is just so preposterous. So this is what philosophers do. They waste goddamn time arguing about whether or not it matters that something has a knife shoved through its fucking eye. No, we can't figure that out. Fuck you.
What logical law am I violating? Well, the answer is none.
Well, you can pretend that that's true, but that's all you're doing. You're pretending it's true. It's as fundamental as saying water is wet to say that suffering is bad. It's a fundamental truth that it's better not to suffer. It's better to acquire character without having to suffer to do it. It's better to be able to anything should be done without having to pay too high a price, the suffering price.
That's because the proposition in question is not written in the realm of logic.
Well, again, there's no point to logic. If you can't establish value, there's no point in doing logic, because then you're doing logic about nothing. So if you haven't gotten the values right, you have no premises on which to do any logic that matters. You might as well just sit there and logically contemplate the difference between snowflakes. You might as well just completely waste your goddamn brain.
And doubtfully the objectively ontological. It is written in the realm of affectivity, which is temporally prior to and ultimately constrains the cognitive processes of reasoning.
Right. Constrains the cognitive processes of reasoning. No, reasoning only has function if you get these premises correct. And if you get them wrong, you're doomed. So it's your argument that the premise that the negative states that I experience, the sensations I experience, that somehow I don't have them right. Somehow my brain has it backwards or something, and somehow when I'm miserable, I'm really joyfully happy, and when I'm happy, I'm really horribly, horribly, torturously in a negative state. No, I think my brain is got it right, that the negative does suck, and the positive doesn't suck, and we got the right N and P. We've got them labeled correctly, and we can understand the value here. One is good value, is this big, and one is little, however you want to relatively measure them. One is more negative, and one is less negative.
Now, some might be inclined to argue that my actions relative to suffering would betray the proposition that suffering has no value. But that doesn't work.
Anyway, sorry, battery went this time. It's just one thing after another. So again, he's just doing this stupid rationalization through, let's just say that the value doesn't exist, so now we don't have to worry about having value conversations. Philosophy is now void of value because you can't prove that the negative conscious state has meaning. Fuck you. I don't have to prove it. If you can't accept the premise, I have nothing to say to you. I have no conversation to have with idiots who can't accept the premise that sentient beings are in states of being that are from bad to less bad.
Propositions which are truth bearers and actions which do not in themselves entail propositions.
All right, so now he's saying something about his own actions portray his own hypocrisy on this subject, and I wouldn't even make that accusation. I don't even care whether you react to your feelings or not. To not acknowledge that the other things out there feel and that their welfare matters just makes you evil. So I don't care if you don't care about your welfare state. I don't care if you're a hypocrite about your own welfare state. But if you can't recognize the value intrinsic in the welfare of sentient feeling beings, then yeah, I hate your fucking guts and I hope you die real soon. Oh, playing with the gun again. It's about condoms, jackass. It's about having babies. It's not about hating your life. Okay, the human species is not a feeling entity. It doesn't need this dramatic music when it goes to kill itself because it won't feel anything. The human species doesn't have a welfare. Okay? All of mankind as an organization of things, as an existing thing, human beings on Earth. That thing doesn't have a welfare, doesn't need to have its brains blown out or any of this stuff. It's not going to weep or cry. It's just individual humans that have this projection, this notion in their head that it needs to exist. That's where the need exists. And that need doesn't need to be created. So whatever, so just black screen for the rest of the video. Everybody's treading on this frickin' brothers and sisters. I love that crap. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for your participation. There is more to follow as the vampire of time allows, or whatever that means. But whatever. These are lame arguments. Again, if we're going to have to go back to the ABCs of existing and have to argue the substantive reality that you can hurt sentient beings and that hurt has meaning and value and importance and significance, I mean, really, then you're just so fail. All your vocabulary is for nothing if you're going to use it to destroy the very thing you played in this music. You provoke an emotion. You tread on beauty to, in a way, destroy all of it. Okay? I'm not taking all of it away. I'm just saying this is what it's made out of. Okay? It's made out of this unfortunate dilemma of life where you can only come into existence as a screwer. Okay? You can only come into existence turning the screw on the clamp that squishes the welfare entity, and that you can only find productivity by unscrewing the damage created. That's the dilemma. And it's a foolish dilemma to maintain for the pretense of your own ego. Live out your life. Be happy. That's not relevant. Do it. It doesn't matter. You can live out your life. You can be happy. You can be a glutton. Just don't lie to the human race and tell them they're accomplishing something by creating more harmables. Because that's a lie. Fucker.